I am a prisoner with no money and no gear. I have to survive 100 days in an open world full of cursed creatures and dangerous criminals, while trying to find some food and work. From fishing, hunting, mining, and woodcutting, to taking down legendary monsters, joining a dark brotherhood, and buying my own home. To go from a nameless vagrant to a full-fledged hero of legends. Things didn't go as I expected.
You broke the law.
I spent 100 days in Tainted Grail, the Fall of Avalon. I began trapped in a prison cell. A guard appeared at the door asking about my past. I told him I was a thief trying to sell some goods, after choosing the stealth archer path as my playstyle. A mysterious man grabbed the keys from him and gave them to me, told me to find him deeper within the dungeons. Exiting the cell, I grabbed all the gear from the guard and equipped it. Going down the hallway, I found the corpse of a priest against the wall, looted everything I could. Then, an undead burst right through a door. Not one, but 3. They were surprisingly tough. I wasn't gonna be able to defeat them all. I only managed to take down one of them. My health was too low. I had to run away. After looting another corpse, I came across a zombie who was looking the other way. I then discovered a really eerie room, found a medic saw, an amputation knife, and even a brain. There were some notes on the table about some mutations. Right next to a tongue, I found a small health potion, just what I needed. Then, the undead caught up to me with nowhere to go. I had no choice but to take them down. I tried opening the door, but it was locked. I needed to get some lockpicks soon. Exploring the dungeon, I came across another note talking about infected animals. Then, I grabbed the pickaxe that was stuck on the wall. Going further down the hallway, I found a note on the wall, which unlocked the recipes to craft some health and mana potions. The door nearby required the laboratory key to open. Further on, some red priests were talking to each other. I sneaked by to avoid getting detected, finding a corpse that had the key. I also leveled up my sneaking skill and picked up a shovel. Getting inside the laboratory, I saw a corpse in a torture device of sorts. A red priest caught me, had to take him on face to face. Even though I won, I was on the verge of dying. Got a dagger and a mana potion alongside some ingredients inside a box. Right next to it, there was an alchemy station. With the recipe that I learned, I could make a health potion, but I was missing some ingredients. Sage specifically. Turns out, the corpse was a living person. He asked me to free him. I took that option, but he meant a different kind of freedom.
You have to kill me.
As he had no chance of surviving. His last wish was for me to take his tags to the horns of the south. I put him out of his misery. Looting everything I came across, I got some more health potions and equipped a spell called Burning Ember. I was able to wield a weapon on one hand and magic on the other. Finding some rocks in the wall led me into a new room where 2 red priests were waiting. I tried taking them by surprise, but failed. Outnumbered, I used my new spell to damage them from a distance. It was actually super effective and satisfying. I was even able to hold it for longer and launch a charged shot at them, setting them on fire. With them defeated, I found an altar with a painting of a hooded figure and a new spell called Blood Transfusion. This would let me drain enemies' health to heal me. Going downstairs, I entered the hole in the wall. Had to fight 3 priests at the same time. There was no chance I could survive this. So, I had to resort to unconventional tactics. I crawled back to the hole, where the enemies weren't able to reach me, and I was easily able to dispatch them one by one with my spells. It was quite funny to see.
We'll send you into the abyss!
With that taken care of, I took some potions from a table and encountered a cooking pot. I had no ingredients to use it though, looted quite a lot of crafting materials. Crawling through another hole, this place was like a maze, so many different paths. I ended up in a prison cell.
They threw me into a cell that once held a patient in the final stages of the disease. Go. Don't worry about me.
Exploring further, I ended up in some sort of pantry room where I found sage and drinks. Opening another cell, this prisoner was one of the red priests. He had fallen ill and chose to be put in a cell to help with their investigation.
The mission to find a cure became a burden.
This plague, they had some success treating it, depending on the stage. They believed they could use something called the weirdness to eliminate it. After that, I finally found the mysterious knight who saved me. He said he had already been here and escaped himself. Didn't give too much detail. We would talk more at the beach. Before leaving, I found another cooking station. This time, I had some ingredients to play with. I was able to combine them to try and get something out of it. Since I didn't have any recipes yet and wasn't very proficient with it, I got undercooked food. Finally found some lockpicks and a rejuvenation potion. I ended up in a hallway fighting a tainted red priest. From his movement and his noises, he seemed undead. Plus, he could resist a lot of damage. I had to go back and forth around him, throwing spells to try to survive this fight. This place was getting weirder and weirder by the minute. Touching a strange object made some matter appear out of thin air. I thought it was some kind of magical bridge, but something was missing. Then, finally, I found a bow. With this, I had a wide variety of loadouts to use in battle. I seem to have found the exit. By touching a huge statue, I got teleported to a strange place, some sort of alternate dimension with floating structures and debris. It was eerie. I heard voices in my head. I was walking on the arms of gigantic statues. I talked with a strange-looking light. They didn't know who they were. This seemed to be some sort of place inside the weirdness. Like a prison. I told this voice that I got transported here by a morbid statue. Interacting with this thing brought me to more visions. I saw fighting, groups of soldiers around some sort of shipwreck. Then I got surrounded by infected, had to fight through them. With that done, I got teleported once more. This place I couldn't begin to describe. I was able to bind the soul to the stone. Then the voice that was talking to me, that light, was King Arthur himself. He wanted to go to Avalon. He didn't know why he was imprisoned or where we were. This location was between life and death. But then
I see now. You have only freed a part of me. I will have to journey by your side until my strength returns.
I had claimed the first shard of King Arthur's soul. Exiting this place, I was now able to safely enter the weirdness and interact with the strange machinery left behind by the fort dwellers. Finally, I crossed the magical bridge, which led me to a strange room. I saw two giants pushing some sort of mechanism. It was quite a sight to see. I read some mysterious writings on the wall, talking about titans, and then with the boss defeated, I walked through a portal, finally free at last. I arrived at the beach, where the mysterious man was waiting. His name was Caradoc. I told him I had found King Arthur himself. Turns out this happened because of the experiments the priests did with me.
You were able to go deep into the weirdness, survive, and even bring a piece of our king's soul back with you. My job is to make sure it won't ever happen again. And this means you have to die. I'm truly sorry.
I don't back down from a fight. I don't back down from a fight. Face me.
I'm sorry, but that had to be done. It shouldn't leave any lasting damage. I had to get rid of the parasite that infested you a moment ago. This power can't be unleashed on Avalon. Not again.
He seemed to have destroyed a piece of Arthur. His mission was to stop the king's return. Pieces of his soul were scattered across Avalon.
I could use help in finding, collecting, and destroying them.
He said Arthur was the reason for the end of the world, and if he got resurrected, weirdness would grow stronger, covering the whole of Avalon. Next plan was to steal the blade Excalibur. A piece of Arthur was bound to it. We needed to destroy it.
The sword is kept in the horns of the south.
Caradoc gave me an emblem. With it, I could get in without any issues. I had to find the Captain Brendan, who would tell me the rest. Setting up a bonfire made King Arthur appear right in front of me. He wasn't gone.
Whatever he tried, it must have failed.
Arthur had no memory. He didn't know why Caradoc hated him so much. He wanted to regain his memories. Stealing Excalibur should help him remember. Here, I was able to level up. I spent an attribute point in endurance to increase my health since enemies were destroying me. Then, I explored the different skill trees. There were so many to choose from, each for a different attribute. I chose Silent Hunter to make less noise and be better at sneaking. I had the option to fill the campfire to reveal hidden options. Doing so let me identify treasures to reveal their true power, but I didn't have any. Lastly, I was able to work on alchemy, making some potions. Finally, I slept for a while. After looting a fisherman's corpse, I equipped a Ring of Toughness, increasing my encumbrance limit. Then we sailed away, leaving the Asylum Island. But things didn't go as planned. A dark presence appeared, swallowing our ship into the water. I awoke on a shore, alone. Exploring the remains of a boat, I grabbed anything I could, even a short sword, which I didn't have enough strength to wield. Nearby, I came across a horrifying creature that began attacking me. Since I had no arrows left, I had to resort to melee and magic. Spells seemed to be unstoppable. Checking out the camp, I found a book that unlocked a new cooking recipe alongside tons of ingredients and a wood cutting axe. It said it allowed lumbering. Afterwards, I came across a huge wolf. Attacking it made him call another one. I took a lot of damage, but managed to put them down. Looted some fangs and claws. Could be used for crafting. Checking my inventory, I found out I had a potion that would allow me to reset all my skill and attribute points. After eating some food to heal myself, I overheard some people talking at the shore. Seemed to be bandits. I attacked them from a safe distance. Using my spells while staying on the high ground did the trick. They couldn't reach me. The looters started throwing rocks, but it wasn't enough. There was a corpse with a letter. It said to go to the All-Mother's shrine, perform a ritual, and bring an amulet. The offer was rose, sage, and a feather. I also found out I could now check the map, and this was the shrine the letter talked about. I was able to interact with it, but I didn't have all the required items. Shortly after, I came across a group of undead called Droners. They were immune to all of my spells. Surrounded, I got overwhelmed by their attacks. Even using all of my health potions, I was about to die. I tried timing my dodges and heavy attacks to take them down. Fortunately, I leveled up while killing the last one of them, regaining all of my health. Right next to a shipwreck, I found some buried treasure that I was able to dig up with my shovel. I also discovered a strange artifact like the ones I saw earlier. This one served as a fast travel point. As I moved closer to the water, I checked out the wooden pier and found a locked chest. After picking the lock, I obtained a health potion and a fancy nobleman's duplex. Having defeated more undead creatures, I gathered some iron ore and came across the entrance to a mine. It was right next to a corpse that had a keeper's tag and some good armor. I used the campfire to improve my dexterity. I also spent a skill point to reduce stamina cost for dashing. While trying to rest, there was a warning to beware of the weirdness. Turns out the holding of the weird knight woke me up. I had no idea what was happening. A drowner appeared. Defeating it let me take a cobweb and an unidentified item. Then I was able to finish sleeping through the night. Going into the mines, I found they were completely flooded. I went underwater and found some loot at the bottom. Then someone, a desperate farmer, attacked me. I dealt with them, but there were more of them. I took a bow from one of the bandits. It was better than mine, but needed more dexterity to wield it. I also finally found some arrows. I tried to take out a guy on a bridge with my bow, but the others were alerted. The thing I didn't like about archery was that I almost couldn't move while aiming. It felt like I was stuck in place. Afterwards, I came across a flaming gobber. I shot it from a distance with my bow and it exploded on death. I was amazed at how large and open this mine was. There were so many different paths to explore. I tried backstabbing a big corpse eater, but it didn't make much of a difference. His flesh was really tough. I had to fight him head on, which was difficult. I kept dodging and timing my strikes, almost like a dance between me and the beast. Eventually, I managed to defeat it. It had a note. There were instructions on how to make armor from their skin. It was good at blocking slashes. I unlocked new recipes to make a corpse eater armor set. Next to the body, I found a locked chest. I had to use a lot of lockpicks trying to open it, but I finally succeeded. Inside, there were a lot of useful things, even a new spell, one that let me summon a corpse eater. I tried it, and the thing stayed with me, following me around. Even through a hole, the mines seemed clear. Resting at the campfire, I leveled up my dexterity to be able to use the new bow. I also chose a skill to increase sneak damage by 50% and went to sleep. While heading out, that thing was gigantic. I went through a broken wall and encountered another corpse eater, but this time I summoned one of my own and watched them fight each other. My minion didn't seem to be doing much damage, but it was perfect to divert the attention while I attacked the creature from behind. Further along, I ran into some outlaws. My summoned creature was very helpful, especially against groups of enemies. The last outlaw I defeated had something called branded skin, which seemed to be a quest item. I also found a light bow among the loot. Checking the place around, I grabbed a letter from a shady merchant. He was asking for a hanged man's noose, an ogre's right toe, and 2 drowner tongues. The next morning, I found one of those titans I saw before, but it was dead, strapped into a huge rock. How did anybody manage to do this? Close by, I stumbled upon a statue of a knight. By interacting with it, I leveled up my one-handed skill. There was someone right next to it. He wanted a duel. Let's say he really knew what he was doing. Finally, I reached the keep. Approaching the entrance,
Whoa, what's happening? In the name of the All Mother, what are you doing?
I'm a traveler. I was told I'd find safe haven here in the hordes.
But we don't just let anybody in, pal. You need to have, things,
Here, I have this pen. I was now inside the town. Time to find the quartermaster. First, I met with Killian, a representative of Camelot. He told me there was a reward for killing bandits, so I collected it. After this, I checked out the bounty board. There were different contracts. Each contract had details, where the target was last seen, and what kind of weapon they used. I took all of the bounties, then checked out another statue that helped me improve my two-handed skill. Next, I met with the local blacksmith, Osprith. I asked if he had any work for me. He told me I could craft armor using the remains of corpse eaters, like the note I found before. To do it, I needed to find rags and a cap. Gotta kill more of them. While browsing his supplies, I bought a book that taught me how to craft my own arrows. New recipes unlocked. Using the grindstone, I could choose to craft items by hand, upgrade my equipment, attach relics, or reduce the weight of my armor. I then crafted my first set of arrows all by myself. Doing this helped me reach level 5. Finally, I met with the quartermaster Fergus.
I wasn't expecting any guests, and you don't look like a new recruit. And yet, Odrin let you in. He's not drinking again, I hope.
Yeah, he was pretty drunk.
I'm afraid I'll have to take action. The name's Fergus, and I assume you already know I'm the quartermaster here. Now state your business.
I got the spin from a friend.
What happened to your friend?
We got shipwrecked on the way, but he could have made it.
If what you're saying is true, he must have had a deal with somebody well above my pay grade, and that leaves only the captain. However, if you're lying, then you might as well have just confessed to the murder of a Knight of the Round Table.
So the man who saved me from prison was a Knight of the Round Table. I then told the quartermaster I wanted to talk to the captain, but he refused. To gain his trust, I needed to help his people and show I cared.
Come back when you've proven your worth to the Horns of the South.
He also mentioned a strange problem with the undead happening in the crypt at the nearby cemetery.
I suggest you go see Marg first. He knows best what's going on there. If you need rest, you can sleep in the barracks.
Then I spoke with a man named Alonso who had a toothache. He was upset because the keep's healer took his grandma's recipe.
Said if I don't know how to make it, I shouldn't have it.
I went to talk to this doctor.
Yes, it's Grandma's miracle medicine. I honestly don't have time for village superstitions.
I asked if I could have the recipe myself, but he refused. Although, by mistake, he actually revealed the ingredients. I also asked him if there was anything he needed help with, since I needed to prove myself to the quartermaster. Turns out, he found an ancient scroll from the Druids, some forbidden knowledge.
It describes a ritual that needs to be performed at night within a stone circle. There's one in the nearby forest.
It was a summoning spell. I needed to remember exactly what it said, word for word, and repeat it to him when I got back. Taking his wares, he sold a lot of stuff, but I wanted to save up money, so I only bought a single rose for the All Mother shrine I found back at the beach. After that, I went to the barracks to get some sleep. At the campfire, I leveled up my dexterity and picked up reduced stamina cost while holding a drawn bow. After this, I came across the guard, being publicly shamed for being drunk because I told the quartermaster about him. He really wasn't happy about it.
Come a little closer so I can spit in your face.
He asked me to give him a drink. I refused, of course, told him he should quit. I talked with another merchant, Orley. She had a job for me. She mentioned a woman called Nest, who was her supplier from the tribes. She was supposed to bring her really precious cargo. My task was to find and bring back that cargo. Taking her wares, I could buy a sketchbook. It would allow me to draw whatever I see. She also sold a spyglass to scout distant areas and mark points in the map. I bought a fishing rod too. Before leaving, I sold my stuff to the blacksmith. Then, I went to see the huntsman, talked to him about the undead problem.
We might have a necromancer on our hands.
My task was to find out what was happening. The huntsman had some pretty interesting stuff to sell too. Recipes on how to craft leather and a good variety of arrows. I stole all the food and crops he had in his yard. Going to the cemetery, I saw skeletons roaming around and got backstabbed by a new creature, a Grindy Glow. The little bastard hit hard. I drained some of his health and summoned my minion to help me take him down. In the end, I stole his big hammer. After dealing with all the skeletons and creatures in the area, I went down into the crypt. Inside, I saw a man just sitting there. He had been brought back to life, and he told me his master was doing experiments. He didn't want to tell me where he was, but he would let me into the crypt if I paid 5 gold, which I did, and he handed me the key. While killing more undead, I noticed some markings on the ground, a symbol of some kind. The necromancer was probably nearby. As I moved forward, I was attacked by a statue that suddenly came to life. It was a huge knight who massacred my summon. With one hit, I made sure to put up some distance and rain arrows against him until I put him down. I was over encumbered, so I had to throw away some stuff. Need to remember to store items in the city. Finally, I found the necromancer. His experiments seemed to not work. He said there was some sort of interference. He asked me to leave. Surprisingly, he was quite friendly for a necromancer.
Very funny. I'm trying to command death, but only so that people won't have to fear it anymore.
I had a few dialogue options based on my skills, but I wasn't very good at them. Since I wasn't successful,
I can't risk you bringing others here who could disrupt my research.
Loading the body, I grabbed a recipe for new armor. I also took all his robes, staff, and some spells. While leaving, the servant asked me for a favor, to take the corpse of his master and put it in a special crypt he prepared for him. Well, why not? I took the remains, arrived at the special place, looted some stuff, including new recipes, and put the ashes in its place. After writing something totally appropriate on the grave, I finished the quest. Back at the entrance, the servant was now resting in peace. There was a book next to him. Reading it unlocked a recipe for a set of knight armor. I went back to the huntsman and told him about the necromancer. He gave me another task.
Another traveler came through here bragging that he found a place where you could easily gather ethereal cobwebs. I'm still curious about the place he mentioned.
My job was to investigate the area. He marked roughly where it was on my map. Resting at the campfire, I leveled up my endurance and picked increased sneak attack damage. Back at the town, the guard was back, sleeping again, but he was sober this time. Good for him.
Don't even look at me.
I spoke with the quartermaster about the necromancer. This proved my worth. He told me the captain had gone missing. He suspected he was at the All Mother's temple. That's where the Dalriada tribes were holed up, and they were not known for being friendly. After selling my loot at the blacksmith, I realized I was able to build armor from bones and skulls, but I didn't have the attributes required to wear it. I needed more perception and strength. Once I stored my stuff in my personal stash, I decided to begin working on the bounty quests I had, starting with Fingerless Calm near the beach. On the way there, I stopped by the shrine to leave the required offering. It rewarded me with an amulet that would heal me completely upon death. My target was on top of a cliff. I needed to find a way to get up there. After unlocking another fast travel point, I discovered some stairs, fought a few bandits along the way, leveling up once more, and kept loading the place. Grabbed a pair of hunting trousers. It required more perception to be able to wear them. Finally, I got to my target, but things were not as easy as I thought. My arrows barely made a dent. He took down my minion with one hit, and if I moved too far away, he would retreat to his spot and heal completely. Being an archer, this messed up my strategy. I was forced to stay in that area and fight in close quarters. Thing is, he could also heal by drinking a health potion. As if that wasn't enough, his hits took pretty much half of my health at once. There was no way I could beat him right now. I had to escape. Returning to the city, I rested and leveled up. I wanted to try with another bounty. On my way to the next target, I had to go through the cemetery and came across a statue of a wolf. If I gathered the 5 claws, I could make an offering and get 90% more sneak damage. Later, I unlocked a new fast travel point at the beach near a mansion. I also found another shrine and put in the ingredients needed, increasing my critical hit damage and healing. After dealing with more bandits and reaching the mansion, the weirdness appeared, turning them into something else. They struck harder than before. I could only run and hide. Quickly, I set up a campfire and used cobwebs to fuel it and protect me from the weirdness. The next morning, got to level 8, increasing my perception and picked 90% less stamina cost for holding a drawn bow. Then, I came across a Stagfather shrine. When activating it, it started some sort of hunting trial, spawning some big creatures I needed to kill. Thing is, some wolves appeared just in time to mess everything up, making me lose the challenge. Since I was close to a river, I decided to try fishing. Pulling the rod out, I waited for a bite, and then I had to keep the hook inside the moving bar. After struggling for a bit, I finally caught my first fish, a common brim. Continuing with the relaxing activities, I wanted to cut some wood. Unfortunately, I had no idea how to do that. Using my axe on the trees didn't work, but more on that later. Next, I pulled out my sketchbook and made a drawing. It was actually really accurate to what I was looking at. I loved this thing. One aspect that really caught my attention was the fact that there were attack animations specifically made for the book, even stabbing with the pen. Really enjoyed that. I also made a drawing of the shrine I discovered. It turned out really well. The target was inside some ruined stronghold, probably full of thugs. While going around it, I discovered some meteorite, which I was able to mine. I also found some iron ore. Activating another fast travel point, I got attacked by thugs throwing arrows at me. One of them got close, so I called out my summon, helped me fight from a distance. Thing is, they were destroying me, taking huge chunks of my health. I managed to lose their attention somehow and finally took them down from afar. Unfortunately, I had ran out of ammo. There was no way I could defeat my target like this, so I had to go back to town to resupply, sold all of my loot and equipped the hunting trousers. At one of the bonfires, I talked with a soldier. He told me about a refugee named Cole who was put in a cage. Cole was looking for shelter for his group, and a few days later, he started acting erratic, aggressive. A guard tried calming him down, but he got beaten by Cole. As punishment, they put him in a cage. The soldier asked me to give some flowers to one of the refugees called Beatrice as a sign of support. Next, I talked with a bald man who was acting really strange. He thought we were friends and was confused pronouncing the names of everybody. He asked me to retrieve some sensitive documents he left at the bar. I should speak with the innkeeper about this. Then I found a lumbering spot. Here, I was able to gather some pieces of wood. On my way to finding the tavern, I was amazed by this place. I even pulled out my sketchbook to make a drawing of the view. Later, I arrived at the place that I thought was the end, but it wasn't. I met someone who told me to bring some medicine to his father. To reach the inn, I needed to go down another path, where there was a guard watching over. He needed help fixing the village deck. In exchange, he could teach me some stuff about home decor. Turns out he sold beds, chairs, closets, kitchen racks, tons of stuff. So I guess it could be possible to have a home of my own. Finally, I reached the village, even unlocking its fast travel point. Repairing the deck required 50 pieces of wood, and I only had a 26. I would need to get to work. Afterwards, I visited the tavern, where I asked the innkeeper for the documents.
Siji, he's dead, taken by a fever.
So that meant whoever sent me here was a ghost. The innkeeper gave me the documents. Then I talked with Tadgen, who was having a drink there. I shared some alcohol with him, and he asked me to have a chat with his friend to help fix things between them. Next, I spoke with a woman.
I'm looking for someone who will help me find a certain artifact, a figure most likely, which had the ability to dispel the wordness like a minhead can.
It could be found inside a ship called Andraste, which was sunk over 100 years ago. She gave me a book I needed to read. After that, she asked me specific questions about it. The story was about a crew which held an artifact of a fort dweller on their way to the island asylum. They got attacked by a sea monster and needed to find the wreck of the Andraste and retrieve this figure somewhere between the Horns of the South and the island asylum. I may be able to find the Andraste's logbook in the museum. It could have the location I needed. By now, I had so many quests that it was overwhelming. Before leaving the village, I found a wooden villa. It was a property I could buy for 20,000 gold coins. I made a drawing of it in my book, My Future Home. Afterwards, I talked with Tadgan's drinking buddies. One of them was a mute. He pointed a location on my map. I went back to the bald guy, returned the documents, and told him he was supposed to be dead. Suddenly, he started transforming. Into a spirit. He actually was a ghost. I was able to see him, but no one else did. Probably had something to do with King Arthur's soul. Next day, I got some more wood to save up for the dock. Still not enough though. On my way to the museum, I stumbled upon a statue holding Excalibur. When interacting with it, Arthur told me it held a piece of his soul, his legacy. He told me I needed to grow stronger to pull the sword myself. I tried grabbing it anyway, and I wasn't ready. Entering the museum, I talked with Rhetoric and asked him about the logbook. He straight up gave it to me. The thing was useless though. Nevertheless, he knew the location of the wreckage himself. It was close to Smuggler's Bay. Got it marked on my map. The area was quite big, and I hadn't reached that part of the world yet. With this done, I turned some bounties in and got a contract to kill an ogre. I needed to bring his shiny eye as proof. I headed out, coming across a new fast travel point at King's Road. I set a bonfire to level up. This time, I chose strength, since many items required it. For skills, I chose more stamina. Then, I tried equipping some heavier armor, but this changed my weight for the worse. I had less dashes in combat and made me slower overall, so I changed it back. Lastly, I also swapped my summoning spell for a new one that let me spawn skeletons. But for some reason, the skeleton didn't attack, even when I commanded him to. The worst thing was, my target was right there. But worse than that, the enemy would retreat and go back to his original spot, healing back to full health. There was no point in fighting this. I wasn't ready. Leaving the place, I found a fast travel point for the Archspire, mined some weird stone, and right next to it, I discovered some hollow druids. Everything looked so creepy. The place had arms and hands on the walls. There was an objective marker that I was trying to reach, but I couldn't find the way. Tried jumping to it, almost glitching it, and then an invisible enemy began attacking me. It was quite cumbersome trying to get him, but I managed to kill him. After a long while jumping again and again, I managed to reach the higher ground. There, I found a strange thing that held some ethereal cobweb, which I took. Next to it, There was a corpse with a spell, Flame Torrent. I didn't have enough attributes to cast it though. I drew a picture to keep in my book before leaving. Nearby, I came across a person inside a cage. It was Nest. After she told me the cargo's location, I freed her. Searching for the treasure, I came across some new creatures I hadn't seen before. Red caps. They were quite fast and deadly. Finally, I found a buried package. Later, I found another druidic shrine. Placing an offering granted me more incoming healing and critical damage. After leveling up my attributes and picking another skill, I encountered an enemy camp with a horse. Once I took care of the bandits, I finally got my own mount. Now I would be able to call it back whenever I wanted. Galloping through the lands, I reached another fast travel point, Ruined Barge. Having dealt with some wolves, the path was divided in two. One way, I could catch a glimpse of a gigantic sword monument on the horizon, and on the other one, I saw the ogre I was tasked to kill. The bad news was, I had 0 arrows left. To test how strong this ogre was, I sent my summon to attack. Back to the city, I spoke to Orlaith and told her I got the cargo. She wanted to pay 100 coins, so I used my perception to ask for more, and succeeded. Now, she offered me the next part of the job. Her client wanted the package delivered in a specific location. Once there, I would need to use a very special arrow and shoot the box from a safe distance. Going back to the ogre, it was time to do my job. The monster was slain. I took his eye as proof of my deed and looted the place up, even digging some treasure. A hammer of stupefaction. This was also the place Orlaith sent me to. Shooting the fire arrow into the packaging made an explosion that revealed a passage underground. It was a dungeon. Inside, I found someone, Rumpel Fenini, renowned chef in Camelot. He was pretty crazy. He gave me a strange new recipe, herring and cheese. Back to Orlaith, I told her about this mad cook.
The chef obsessed with herring and cheese?
With that quest finished, I reached level 11, increased my strength once more, and just more damage to enemy weak spots. Also cooked a new recipe, fried potatoes and onions. Next, I wanted to repair the dock in the village, so I spent a couple of days cutting enough wood to do that. Went there and fixed it. Back to Tiernan, I told him the job was done. He gave me some gold and more work. There were 2 places to fix, Old Gate and the monument to the sea creature. Restoring them would do wonders for morale. They required 50 pieces of wood each. Wood chopping was time-consuming, since the pieces were limited, and they restocked every 24 hours, so I had to spend quite a while to get all that I needed. Once I got all the wood, I then repaired the gates and finally the monument. Back to Tiernan again. The mission was complete. Checking my side missions, I decided to do the one about delivering the medicine. When I spoke to Goblin, he didn't want to accept it. I had the option to use my perception skill to persuade him. He told me the town healer came to see him, but didn't know what was going on with him. I told him his son actually cared about him, since he was the one that sent me to check on him. That seemed to complete the quest. Another mission I had was to deliver flowers to the refugee. Talking with her, I had no idea what this woman was talking about. She said something happened to Cole. She told me how he went mad and bit someone. It seemed he started acting weird after encountering a strange thing called the Archspire. The refugees had set up camp nearby. There, they had weird dreams. Needed to check that place out. After this, I went to see Killian. Thanks to taking down the ogre, I got 600 coins. With all these side missions taken care of, I decided to continue with the main quest. So, I traveled northeast. On the way, I came across some bandits, killed them, and looted their base. Further on, I saw an incredible statue on the water. It looked like it was holding a huge cliff, which also had a winged figure. Then, I got ambushed by some drowners and highwaymen. Defeating them all, I grabbed the firm bow and the machete from one of the corpses. Lastly, I found the fast travel point to the Old Mother's temple. Captain should be nearby. Approaching the entrance, a guard asked me what I was doing. I tried using my perception to lie, but failed. She started attacking me. Once again, my arrows barely were able to do any damage, and she took me down with just 2 strikes.
Ah, that felt good. Come back if you want me to beat you to a pulp again.
I spoke to her for a second time, asking if she could just let me pass, but...
No. No. No.
I tried fighting again. Thing is, the area was enclosed. I was trapped, so being a ranger was an awful choice. Also, my summon died with 1 hit. I lost once more. There was no way I could win this fight for the time being. I decided to search for the shipwreck in the water. I found the remains of a small boat. It didn't have much, just a spear. But then, while swimming around the big rocky cliff, I discovered the ship Andraste. After dealing with the creature, I made a sketch of the whole thing in my notebook. Scavenging what was left, I grabbed the ring and a new cloak. The ring increased my armor by 1 point. For the cloak to work, I needed to up my practicality attribute. I also realized I had an amulet that increased health by 30. That was a lot. Investigating the wreckage, I found the chest with the captain's diary inside. It said they dragged the cargo to the nearby caves. That's where my objective really was. The last thing I found was a hammer called Doombringer. Its damage was insane, but it required so much strength to wield. The location of the cave was now on my map, but it seemed to be inside the Old Mother's temple. Before going anywhere, I stopped by the broken boat to fish a special herring for the strange chef quest. I then combined it with cheese and got the required plate. On the way, I found a druidic shrine, got to level 12 thanks to that. Then I talked with the chef, finishing the quest. The reward was a really unique spell. The light cast allowed me to condensate the cheese from my own blood, and the heavy cast let me turn my enemies into cheese. I wanted to try it so bad, but I required 6 points of spirituality to cast it. I was nowhere near that amount. After leveling up my stats, I went to talk to Mark, the huntsman. I told him the place he heard about was true and that I was able to get the cobwebs. He gave me some info. A few nights ago, he spotted a weird deer. He wasn't able to catch it, but maybe I would. Their hide was tough and had natural magic properties. Their antlers were great for knives, and even their bones were used to make arrowheads. Got the location marked on my map. When I got there, I ran into a bear instead. He was a tank. My arrows did almost no damage. I had to climb some rocks to try and get away from him. It was super scary, but he ended up giving up and leaving me alone. Then, I found the crafting station. I was now able to wear the Revenant ribcage thanks to my attributes. I tried crafting it, but my skill was awful and got garbage instead. So, I made hundreds of arrows to prepare for the hunt. I waited until nighttime for the creature to appear, but then the bear was still around. He was injured from our previous fight, so I took advantage of this and finished him off. I looked around, but I couldn't find the weird deer, only saw wolves. Maybe it was that Stagfather shrine. I activated it, but the time window to hunt was so short that it was impossible to kill any in time. I tried again, but still failed. The third time, I used the slow motion skill to shoot as many arrows as I could. I was able to take down one, but that wasn't enough. To succeed, I needed to get all of them. I ended up visiting the camp the refugees told me about, the place where they got those weird dreams. I saw writing on the wall. It was cryptic, not sure what it meant. After going to sleep, I found myself in a strange dimension. It was so eerie. Then, I continued on. I entered the cave and went deeper inside. The voice kept talking in another language. Further in, I found them.
Come closer, please. Just for a brief moment. It won't hurt.
This being was imprisoned years ago by the king. He was a forest dweller. Told me he devoured the cult's humanity.
Let me taste your blood.
I could choose if I let him or not. I, of course, said no. The creature started attacking me. Thankfully, he was too weak. Each of his lunges made him drop to the ground. He had a lot of health, but because he was so worn out, I was able to defeat him. Got a weapon relic as a reward. I'll have to give this a try later. I then returned back to the normal world. Visiting the village, I talked with Beatrice. Cole wasn't lucky. She said he fell into a strange state, as if life inside him was frozen. I offered to put his suffering to an end. I did what I had to do. With that job done, I leveled up my strength to be able to use my new bow, the Great Bow. It was gigantic. I had no idea how slow it would be. Talking with the people in the village, Rosen told me his husband was forced to join a bandit group. She told me the location of their leader. My task was to make sure he was alright. Heading there, I unlocked a fast travel point at an abandoned village. Trying out my Great Bow was pretty good for sneak attacks, but in the heat of battle, it was awful. Drawing one single arrow took so much time and stamina, and the damage wasn't worth it at all. I decided to switch back to my old bow. After looting some coins and potions from a chest, I had to fight multiple bandits. Surrounded and outnumbered, I had to use my slow motion power to survive. With the enemies taken care of, I headed inside the mill. Going downstairs, I found the leader. It was a tough encounter. My arrows did so little damage that using my melee weapons was so much better. It wasn't easy, but I managed to kill her, taking the head as proof. Using her key, I opened the prison cell where I met with Morris, the villager's husband I was looking for. He had been branded. Guards wouldn't let him back into the village like that. However, if he brought the bandit leader's head, that would be enough to prove his innocence. Morris left the place to reunite with his wife. Back at the village, the couple was happy to see each other again. They rewarded me for the trouble. Then, I leveled up my dexterity and picked a skill to increase my 100 damage by 10%. I needed more iron ore to make better armor, like the Corpse Eater set and the Revenant set. All of this was to get stronger enough so I could fight that guard at the All Mother's Shrine. Going out looking for more material, I discovered an altar dedicated to a deer. Making an offering there would give me faster movement. The ingredients were 3 antler fragments, which I delivered. I kept gaining experience by defeating any enemies I came across, such as bandits, and collect their iron ore and copper, any type of metal. Later, I found the Shrine of the Wolf again. This time, I had the claws I needed, which boosted my sneak attack damage by 90%. This was huge. Now I could take down deers with a single hit. I kept mining iron ore. While exploring, I came across an alchemy station. I gathered all the ingredients to make a toothache remedy. Crafting it, I was able to restore 80 health points. I continued mining ore, one after the other. I also encountered some disgraced knights. For some reason, they couldn't leave their area. They detected me and tried to get me, but they kept returning to where they started. It was actually pretty funny watching them get stuck, going back and forth, until one of them surprised me. He was a battle mage, throwing spells at me. I summoned my skeleton to fight him, but he didn't last long. My mace seemed to do more damage against him since he was armored. It was a tough fight. I had to dodge his spells, which slowed me down. Nonetheless, I managed to kill him. There was one more target. Without any arrows left, I tried to sneak attack him, but then I remembered I had some throwing knives. They worked great. I resumed mining more iron. Arriving at the bridge, I saw someone wearing strange clothes and a mask. He talked about a queen, but I couldn't make much sense of what he said. The man was a merchant. He sold mostly crafting ingredients. Beyond the bridge, I found some ruins and a zombie. My melee attacks were getting stronger, defeating enemies with just a few hits now. In front of the All Mother's Shrine, I found a corpse with a diary. Making an offering gave me an amulet. When receiving fatal damage, I would heal completely, destroying the amulet on the spot. I equipped it. Next, I unlocked the fast travel point of this area. I was close to a quest location, the place I needed to go to perform the druidic ritual. Since I had run out of arrows, I went back to the keep to craft craft more. I also wanted to craft better armor. I had the materials to make the Revenant ribcage, but my crafting skill was so low that the outcome would be garbage. If I tried making it, I would probably just lose the materials. By mistake, I crafted another armor piece, a weak corpse eater's cap. Since this one sort of worked, I tried the ribcage but failed twice. Although in the end, I managed to create the cowl. It was weaker, but better than nothing. It had 3 points of armor and 10% bonus damage. It looked good though. I needed more perception for its effect to work. I went back to where I was and found a stone stairway, candles at its sides. This definitely looked like a place to perform a ritual. There were birds in the sky, crows, some kind of tree. I approached it carefully. To perform the ritual, it required an offering of 1 venison, 1 onion, and 1 garlic. I was missing the onion and the garlic. Exploring the area further, I suddenly got attacked by a swarm of bees. They actually hit hard, didn't stop chasing me. After dealing with them, someone appeared.
Take.
It was an invitation from the queen. He was a servant. Checking the invitation, it had the drawing of a bee and what looked to be honey. This is what the merchant warned me about. Close by, I found some ethereal cobweb, which I took. I saw skeletons tied to some structures. This queen didn't seem to be too friendly. I leveled up while unlocking a chest. Back to the merchant, I told him about the bees.
I knew I should have never spoken to you. Forgive me.
He was crazy. I then told him about the invitation. He said I needed to slay the bee queen and gave me a set of armor. Unfortunately, it required more spirituality to wear. It was useless for me though, it just increased my maximum mana. Now it was time to see this queen. I ventured deeper into the area. The place was getting weirder and weirder. There were mysterious drawings in the stones. I walked on a bridge similar to the one I discovered after meeting King Arthur. Then I saw a corpse. It had an interesting bow. Arrows would be able to chill my opponent. To wield it, I needed 8 points in dexterity and 4 in practicality. I set up a bonfire and upped my attributes, also picking the skill to increase the speed of drawing a bow by 10%. Further on, I came across some kind of huts between the trees, and then I saw the servant who gave me the invitation. I approached the stranger. He told me I was the consort of the queen and that the merchant I met was a traitor. Then I was transported into another dimension. Everything was rocks and cliffs, dead, gray, lifeless. I stood on a cliff, the same place I had been just seconds before, but now twisted. The wall nearby had honeycombs. The quest marker led me to a hut, the queen's chamber, and there she was, flying with its wings. She called me her knight protector, said she had waited so long for me. I asked why she summoned me. She needed someone to bridge the gap between her realm and the world protected. Then she spoke of Brock, the merchant. He had once been her consort, but he fled, abandoning her. Now she wanted me to silence him. She promised a reward if I did, but I rejected the offer. The fight began. I stood no chance against her. My attacks did nothing. Between the bee swarms, her strikes, and her servant, I couldn't land a single blow. This was a fight I couldn't win. I tried again and again, but it was impossible. I was completely under level. Eventually, I used a fast travel point to get the hell out of there. I needed to train, level up, and find better equipment. I began grinding experience, facing huge groups of bandits, taking down as many as I could, upping my one-handed skill. I destroyed them one by one, chasing them inside their fortress, fighting relentlessly. Then I came across one of my bounties, an assassin, Silent Celia. I was able to take her down without much problem. I grabbed her assassin armor set, plus some daggers. To be able to wear the assassin outfit, I needed 8 points in perception. The set will increase my sneak damage, which was great, but for boss fights was useless, although it looked pretty good. I went back to Killian at the keep and grabbed my reward, but my training wasn't over. I locked in, taking one mob after the other, improving my melee skills even more. I explored the caves, even came across a boss fight. It was a strange creature, which seemed to get stuck. I kept hammering heavy attacks on it. Took it down without much problem. I was getting stronger. I mined more iron ore and grabbed some loot, including a journal of a geographer. It mentioned a cave by the western shore. Should take a look. I grabbed a ring that increased my movement speed when not in combat, and then identified an item at the campfire. I got an improved small health potion and a better mace. With my new weapon, I was unstoppable. Following the journal from the geographer, I arrived at the western shore and unlocked the fast travel point. The place was full of undead, but they no longer were a threat to me. I took care of them and then upped my attributes and picked up a new skill. Going inside a tomb, I came across some chests. One of them had a couple of spells, and then behind the gate, I saw 3 people worshipping a statue. I approached quietly and launched arrows at them, but they passed right through, as if they weren't there. I even tried hitting them with my mace, but nothing. Checking the statue didn't do anything either, so I pulled down a lever and got out of there. Fighting more infantrymen, I picked up a consumable called Death's Whisper. If equipped, my next sneaking hit would instantly kill my enemy. I also went inside the seaside mansion. There wasn't much there though, just a few ingredients I managed to grab. Next, I hunted down my second bounty, Fingerless Colm. I took him out from a distance with my bow, no problem at all. My training was paying off. I took a weapon called Shadow Blade from his corpse. It doubled my sneak damage but required high attributes to work. On my way to collecting the reward, I fell into a lake. The water turned red like blood, creeped me out. I approached a statue and interacted with it, granting me the blood transfusion spell. Strange. After taking down even more bandits, I went for the next bounty, Rusty Ardgar. Using my arrows, I didn't even need to get close. I took his head too. While looting the place, I found a few new recipes to create some concoctions and a new set of armor. Back at the keep, I crafted a weak Revenant's ribcage. It offered 5 points of armor and boosted both my melee and weak spot damage. It was pretty revealing to say the least. Only one bounty remained, Senan the Giant. He actually lived up to the name. He was massive, wielded a huge sword and even casted spells. Easily the toughest one yet. Before facing him, I took down his henchman to isolate him. Then, with a slow motion skill, I aimed straight for his head. That did the trick. I took his giant sword from his corpse. With Senan dead, every bounty was completed. Good progress. I increased my perception and took a perk that reduced stamina cost for heavy attacks with 2 weapons. But then, a new bounty showed up on the mission board. I needed to bring the head of Bromar No-Face. By then, I equipped a new bow called the Spiteful Arc. Sneak attacks will blind enemies for 5 seconds. It looked pretty nice. I set off to find my target. On the way, I stopped by the druidic ritual site. I had everything I needed. A few ghosts appeared in front of me and started talking.
See, someone's here. Damned morons! Nobody could be stupid enough to actually fall for this. And yet... Hey, you there! We can't exactly see you because, you know, we're dead. But we can sense that you're here, so...
Congratulations! You've made it to the sacred site of knowledge!
The knowledge you seek, the knowledge we druids decided to share with you is that... you can kiss on...
It was basically a prank, some kind of ancient ghostly joke. And just like that, the quest was completed. I picked up a few recipes next to the altar, but there was nothing else worth doing there. Continuing on, I ran into a group of redcaps. After dealing with them, I stumbled upon the shrine of a bear. It required 3 bear claws as an offering. Deeper into the woods, I came across some weird statues with glowing eyes. They were pretty unsettling, really creepy. Then took some ethereal cobwebs. Next, I saw an ogre. My new bow was super slow. I decided to change it back. Then I was able to kill it. Stumbled upon a fast travel point. The path was divided in 2. Following one, I discovered the entrance of the Mistbearer's Den, an ancient cave. There was a campfire next to the door. I cooked some food and went inside. there was someone there, Tyrannus of the Theod tribe, a Dal Riata. He asked me to hunt the Mist Bearer. If I brought him its remains, he would reward me. I opened the entrance, interacting with the strange artifact, and went deeper into the cave. I had to kill tons of skeletons, one after the other. This place was like a maze. I even got lost, returning to the entrance by mistake. Further along, I used an alchemy station to make some potions and concoctions. Finally, I reached a huge tree behind some sort of shrine with an animal skull. Interacting with it did this. The Mistbearer appeared. I wasn't able to damage him. To do so, I had to take down his ghostly minions. This made him kneel to the ground. Using this opportunity, I used some heavy attacks on him, repeating the process again and again until the creature made decoys of himself, copies. If I hit the fake one, it disappeared. It was hard finding the real one. So, instead of wasting my time fighting the minions, I went straight to him, attacking him head on. As he got wounded, he summoned more of his own replicas, making it more difficult to find the original. Nonetheless, after a long and grueling fight, I managed to kill him in the end. I went back to the man at the entrance, got the reward. As I proved myself, he said I could join the Alchemist Guild. I told him I was in. He had a few assignments for me. He told me a valuable member named Eckhart was missing. I had to find out what happened and retrieve his research. He marked his location on my map. After leveling up my stats, I took care of another of my bounties, Bromor No Face. I shot him from a distance, even threw knives at him, until I took him down. I was much stronger now. Close by, there was a huge door I tried to open.
This place holds a fragment of who I was. I feel its weight. Let's not leave without it.
This seemed to be the limits of the Horns of the South area. Probably, I needed to continue the main quest line first. Back at the keep, I reported back to Killian. Turns out, I finished all the bounties available. As a reward, I received Camelot's Ring, which increased my max health and stamina. Then, I went to see the doctor, told him about the druidic ritual prank. I gave him the mistletoe I received and told him the crumb-leg changed for the worse. He told me I needed to find a druid and make him reverse what happened. After selling my stuff at the blacksmith and storing my stuff, I went back to the north, entering Eckhart's cave. It was full of bandits. Once I dealt with them, I found his corpse, grabbed anything useful, including his research. The man who I needed to return this to was in another area, the one that I couldn't go yet. It was time to continue the main quest then, to face her. This was the fight that I prepared for all this time, against the Dal Riata Guard.
It's been a while since someone bested me. I guess I really have gotten rusty. You can pass through. Just don't do anything stupid. Fran's berserkers have even less patience than I do.
I now had access to their camp. I met with their leader, Bran, and asked for Captain Brendan. He came here to make some deals with them. The captain was inside the temple, but she didn't want to let me in. First, I needed to show her that I was determined about it. She had a potion she wanted me to try. I drank it.
How are you feeling? What the hell? Come sit by the fire with me. It should wear off soon.
After a while, the effect wore off. By drinking this potion without hesitation, I showed her my will to get into the temple, but she still didn't trust me. Bran needed help with something, to forge an alliance with the Keepers. She had to pick a gift to send the Horns of the South. Her idea was to collect bandit ears and make a necklace out of it. I told her she should do a more diplomatic gift. I then went to talk to Ugwi to think about the better gift. He gave me the instructions to forge a ceremonial axe. I went to the grindstone and crafted it. Ugwi made some inscriptions on it. Following this, I traveled to the keep and talked with the quartermaster, giving him the axe. He accepted it cautiously. Back with the Dal Riata leader, turns out the inscription was an insult. All of it was Ugwi's idea. We could only hope the quartermaster didn't realize this. She allowed me to enter the temple now.
What do you want? You don't look like you're from the tribes. How did you even get here?
Whoever he is, I cannot say he lacks courage. I trust you to know what should be shared, and what's best kept to yourself.
I told them I was looking for the captain of the Horns of the South, and that I wanted to wield Excalibur. Caradoc claimed he knew how to do it.
Yes, every new captain gets a set of secrets passed down from his predecessor. And yes, one of those secrets is how to touch Excalibur and survive. But nothing in life is free, you know that.
Before the captain told me I had to do something for him. Galahad the Pure set up camp at their stronghold in the west. My task was to kill him, to take down a knight of the Round Table. I had the option to oppose and just kill Brandon right there, but I accepted the mission. Once at the stronghold, I showed the pin to the guard at the entrance, which let me in. Going inside,
I can hear you. Who goes there?
this was Galahad, my target. I had two options: to tell him the truth about the captain or kill him. Back to the captain, he said that Camelot was rotten to its core. There was a secret, and he knew the truth. To discover it myself, he gave me a seal, which I needed to bring to Seawolf's crypt. Once at the sunken village, I entered the tomb. It was the place I visited before, the one with the statue and the three undead praying in front of it. I used the seal.
I know this place. I remember it, although my memory is still clouded. I was here with Merlin. We had a disagreement about something important. It was here that the idea of how to end the war with the Four Dwellers first took shape. But what happened next is still unclear.
A door opened up, revealing a spiraling stairway going down. I followed it. This place had creatures inside some sort of cocoons. I couldn't describe it. What was inside those things? Then I was able to talk to one of them. He was Seawolf Firstfoot, the most loyal of Arthur's men. Merlin decided that Arthur had to become immortal, but they needed volunteers, people, to make sure his methods were effective. Seawolf was used in this experiment. They thought he died, so they buried him, but he wasn't. He heard everything. Merlin experimented on all the knights, telling them it was for the greater good. Arthur sacrificed the lives of the noblest of men. Camelot was built on betrayal. People needed to know the truth. Exiting the place, I came across Brendan, and I had two options: to help him and convince the quartermaster about this, or betray him. I chose to join him. We needed to tell Fergus to come to this place. Back to the keep, I talked to him, said to meet the captain at the tomb. He didn't trust me, but he agreed to check it out. After a quick fade to black, he told me he saw it, and he needed time to process everything. What they did to Seawolf was unforgivable. The quartermaster will support the captain, joining his side. Returning to the captain, I told him what happened, and then...
I'll get One Eye, and together we'll go to the Orns with the good news. Brothers, today marks a new chapter in the history of the Horn to the South. Today, we put an end to fear and poverty. Camelot has abandoned us, brothers. For years, they've given us no aid. All they do is take our resources, send us to senseless slaughter, and keep us in the dark. For over 600 years, Seawolf has been alive, forgotten by King Arthur and all of Camelot. I say, enough. Enough of being fed a rotten myth that turned out to be one great lie. But, my brothers, I bring news. Galahad the Pure, the same Galahad who threatened to burn half our garrison at the stake, is dead. The tribes will provide us with the military support our depleted ranks desperately need. The tribes will help us rid the South of the bandits who've plagued our people for years. The horns of the South will endure, and soon we'll be stronger than ever before.
Now that I've done everything Brendan wanted, it was his turn to return the favor. I asked about Excalibur. I needed to prove I was worthy of wielding it. There were a few places on Avalon to do so. One of them was the old gong in the sunken village. I had to sound the gong, lie down to sleep at its base, and if I woke up, I would be deemed worth it. The problem was, the thing was broken, and I needed to fix it. Talking to the blacksmith, he was against all of this, but in the end he agreed to help. I swam to the island where the gong was located and met an old man there. I couldn't make sense of what he was saying, but he was just waiting there peacefully. After this, I grabbed the broken gong. With enough materials, I brought it to the blacksmith and he fixed it. Returning back to the location, I put the gong up and then I'm not sure what happened, but I was in another dimension. I walked, staring at the huge figure in front of me, approaching slowly.
Who dares disturb my peace? You made an oath never to summon me again.
Forgive me, my lord. I want to be deemed worthy to touch the Excalibur.
Excalibur? Wait. Is it really you? You, who come from a time beyond. Show yourself before me.
Do I know you?
It seems he speaks to me. Allow me to answer him.
Welcome, old friend.
I can see that you know me, but I am a mere shadow of my true self.
Arthur and the Lord of the Seas knew each other. I was deemed worthy of touching Excalibur. Next, I talked to Arthur at the bonfire. He had no idea about Sewell. He said he should have paid more attention to what Merlin was doing. Back to the keep, I touched Excalibur. It teleported me again to that strange dimension, and I binded the soul to the stone once more.
I am the blade that shapes kings and shatters tyrants.
Right after, I saw a vision.
Enough, Merlin. You can't keep throwing lives into this abyss. These experiments, they're destroying what remains of us.
You told me to do this. You sanctioned this.
Find another way. Use your mind, your wisdom. Find me a weapon that wins this war without annihilating what we fight to protect. Let it be known that it was my decision.
Oh no, my king. People can never know. It was all my idea. You need to become a symbol.
I had gathered a new fragment of Arthur's soul, unlocking a new power, and the king's soul skill tree. Checking them out, I had 2 out of 4 trees available. First was the king's soul, second the Excalibur. Next, I talked with Arthur. He remembered now. He knew all about it and didn't regret a thing, saying he had no choice, that he would do it all over again. Turns out Merlin continued experimenting on the enemy. He figured out how to twist the 4 dwellers' power into something they could wield to conquer the weirdness. Merlin found a way to make Arthur stronger, and with that, they won the war. But at what cost? I was back in the real world. Caradoc asked me what I saw. I told him about Merlin and the experiments. Sewell was the first attempt, and Caradoc was the last one. He was an experiment too. I had 2 options. to side with him or not. I asked him where I should start. Next piece was at Connacht. I had to find the shield of Palamedes. Before doing that, I wanted to finish the rest of the side quest I had pending. On my way, I came across some strange mist and fought some mistlings, discovering a new Stagfather shrine. I tried the challenge but failed again. Close to one of the quest locations, I discovered an archer statue which improved my bow skill, and then a shrine. Interacting with it made a ghost appear. He was a friend from Berg, the man from the village. They served together. His name was Kendall, a keeper. There was an ambush of bandits which killed him. He wanted to finish his service, resting in a better place. I needed to take his remains and bring them to Berg, so I dug up Kendall's skull. I went back to his friend to try and give him the remains, but he didn't want anything to do with it. Turns out they set Kendall up and he was feeling really guilty about it. I ended up giving him the skull to remind him of his actions. I went back to the ghost and finished the quest. Finally, I was able to complete the Stagfather trial by hunting down all the weird ears on time. Got rewarded with tons of resources and recipes. Nonetheless, I still had the quest Mark gave me to hunt a specific weird deer. I waited until nighttime. It seemed nothing was there until something was lurking in the dark. I found it. I used my slow motion skill to shoot as many arrows as possible, taking the creature down. Next, I looked for the Andraster's cargo. Going to the Dalriada camp, I jumped off the cliff into the ocean, where I found the entrance to the cave. Exploring deeper, I came across a boss fight against the Scourge of the Seas. I managed to take him down, grabbed his special weapon. Then I saw something on a cliff surrounded by water. It was a boat. On it were the remains of something tied to it. On my way back to report what I found, I stumbled upon a bandit camp. There was a prisoner in a cage. I freed him. His name was Vidar. He said he knew the weirdness. Some bandits were going to hand him over to some crow, part of some kind of cult called Children of Morrigan. He proposed to join forces and deal with this crow at the ruins of Rosecree. I accepted. Before doing so, I went back to the village to tell Elaine about what I found in the cave. It was the skeleton of a fort dweller. This completed the quest. After dealing with some mistlings, I stumbled upon some more hollow druids staring at a statue. Interacting with it increased my magic skill. Next, I unlocked the fast travel point to Rosecree, where I met with Vidar.
Oh, you're finally here, but our crows are not. I don't know what could have gone wrong. Maybe I misheard. Maybe I mixed up the names of the villagers. Oh no, they're here, aren't they? You won't get me. Over my dead body.
That can be arranged. However, it just so happens you're too valuable for us to simply kill you.
I'm not going with you. You won't take me alive.
Calm yourself, Vidar. You know exactly what you did.
Turns out he was not as innocent as I thought, and the Children of Morrigan weren't going to kill him. This group wanted to fight the weirdness, and they offered me to join them, so I ended up accepting. Now, I had a superior who would assign me tasks, and I could rise between the ranks of the Brotherhood. For my first task, I needed to take care of a bandit group. I also got some new armor, giving me some sneak and critical hit damage. The mission was pretty simple. I went to a watchtower and killed everybody in it. Reporting back to my superior, I got my second contract. I needed to talk to a keeper named Roth and convince him to work for us as an informant. Once again, the job was easy. I arrived at the keep and talked to the man. Convincing him was not a problem. Third mission. It involved testing the loyalty of a new member. I had to decide if the new recruit was worthy of joining our group. Thing is, he was in the new area. I still had a few more things to take care of before leaving, and one of them was to defeat the Bee Queen. I want to fight her once again, focusing on her minions first, but then I'm not sure what happened. I got teleported outside. I was right in front of some sort of portal. Going through it let me go back to the fight, but the queen was too strong. I was forced to run away. The time had finally come. I left the Horns of the South and entered Connacht, a whole new region. It was huge. There, I met a man named Dreg. Told him I was one of Bran's friends. That was enough to let me pass by. This place was magnificent. that creature again. I was astonished at the view. Even saw a gigantic deer spirit in the distance. Beautiful and creepy at the same time. Everything was huge. Further on, I saw a tree so beautiful. I had to make a drawing of it. Nearby, I met some soldiers from Camelot. They told me that someone had been sabotaging their equipment for the last few weeks. Bandits, probably. The criminals beat one of the guards unconscious last time. The soldiers offered me some money if I took care of the thugs. I accepted. Before continuing on, a man asked me to give a message to his wife, Enora. After crossing a bridge, I met with the boy I had to talk with, the one that wanted to join the Children of Morrigan. He said he wanted to join because he was jealous of his brother. The kid just wanted respect. I told him to forget about the guild and leave. But turns out, this was a test for me, a trap. They were testing if I followed orders or not. And because of this, I failed and I was kicked out of the Brotherhood. But I wouldn't surrender so easily. Following this, I discovered a new city, but then
Don't even say that. Someone comes, lights them in here, and then dies on all watch? The people would be at my door with pitchforks.
He's waking up. Welcome back to the land of the living, our hero.
Help him up, Ansem. Welcome to my home.
The lord of this city put me up to speed about what happened. It seemed the Menhir reacted to me. The Menhirs were statues that warded off the weirdness. Their fire wore off a long time ago. Camelot wanted to take all the Menhirs and bring them with them. But now that this one reignited, people wanted to stay and rebel against Camelot. The lord wanted me to speak with the commander of Camelot's forces. In return, I asked for the whereabouts of the Palamedes shield. He told me it rested beneath the Menhir. Going there, I pulled out the shield.
This is my shield, but there's no part of my soul inside. We need to look somewhere else. But I can feel the missing part. Close. Maybe it's the Menhir. Maybe it needs something from us.
It seemed it wasn't the real one. Something was missing. Going around the city, I stumbled upon a soldier that asked me to buy a book for his wife, since the owner hated him. I went to the store and tried using my persuasion to convince her I wanted the book. I failed, but I learned something. Turns out, the man tried to seduce her. He was a scumbag. He lied to me. I confronted the soldier and did some justice with my own hands. Thing is, I got caught by the guards and had to serve some time in prison. After being free, I spoke to the commander. Lighting the Menhirs seemed to stir up his plans. People didn't want to leave this place now. He asked me to talk to the druid Mirov and tell him that nothing changed with this. The commander truly believed the way to save everyone was to send them to Camelot with all the Menhirs. In this area, all enemies were much stronger than in the first one. It was like going back to square one. I arrived at the druid's hut, told him about the commander. He said that the Menhir were nothing but just a piece of rock. They needed to be reignited by a special ritual. He asked me to do so with the one in Canucht. We needed 2 scrolls to do this, but to know their location, we had to dig into his memories. Using some mushroom potions, I had to gather the ingredients required. Exploring more of this town, I met with the local bounty giver. She had a job for me. There were some supplies missing, and I needed to investigate what happened. Next, I stumbled upon some soldiers trying to get someone called Ferkit out of their house. One of their warehouses got fire because of one of Ferkit's inventions. I also stumbled upon a mission board full of contracts, which I grabbed. Following this, I met with the local blacksmith. Turns out his son was sick or something. He went out with a girl and disappeared for a while, and when he came back, something seemed off. Now he was barely able to breathe. No one knew what was wrong with him. The blacksmith gave me a location to investigate. Finally, I met a shopkeeper. He wanted me to give a letter to the Lord. It had suggestions about how to improve this place. Between the sick kid, the stolen supplies, the bandits, the children of Morrigan, the Bee Queen, there was a lot to do. Not even mentioning the whole Palomides shield thing or the reignition of the Menhir. My journey was far from over. I needed to help these people, fight the evil from these lands, and discover the secrets that lied within. These were my first 100 days in Tainted Grail, the Fall of Avalon. But this was just the beginning.